Oh yeah, baby. We're going JDM.
It's Friday, baby. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of BrunerTuner. In today's episode, we're going to be refreshing the JDM VQ35DE with all sorts of gaskets and seals from Z1 Motorsports. They have just about everything that you need there, and I've used that site numerous times in the past. And outside of that, we're going to be putting on the old accessories and the hoses and the wiring harness and everything, getting the headers bolted back up on there, and then this thing pretty much should be ready to go. But we've got some work in front of us, so let's go ahead and get into it. Ugga dugga. So we've got to remove a bunch of 12mm bolts around this assembly, and I'm gonna have to take off this hose to the oil cooler sandwich plate. And then outside of that, yeah, I might have to remove some of this bracketry to get to this bolt down here. Probably use a ratcheting wrench though on that bolt. Yeah, shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, what I'm going to do is take off this oil pressure sender unit because there is a bracket bolt below that, and this thing actually has to come off anyways for this JDM motor. It's not the same as the USDM one apparently, and that actually looks to be verifiable from what I've seen. When I pulled the one off my old motor, it definitely looks different. Whereas we use vegetable oil. Alright, there we go. That took entirely too long. Okay, with those out of the way, what I'm going to do is go around the perimeter of the upper oil pan now and remove these 12mm bolts. That's a long bolt. It's also at this point that I'm remembering there's actually bolts that go from the inner lower oil pan into the upper oil pan that hold them together. So I was thinking I was just gonna get away with pulling the upper pan with the lower pan attached, but yeah, nah, that ain't happening. Now in the factory service manual, which is what we're going off here, they have a special seal cutter tool that they use to slice the RTV around the metal bonds. But what I'm gonna do is just take an X-Acto knife and just try and kind of sever that a little bit. Alright, let's go ahead and pop these bolts off of here. Oh, there we go. I'm getting a glimpse on the, for the first time on the inside of this motor, and man, it looks really clean. Alright, with those bolts out of the way, this thing should be ready to come out. Alright, so I'm gonna get my pry bar and screwdriver and see if we can't just leverage this thing off of here. Nothing apparently. Oh boy. There we go. Now we have a clear shot at the crank too. We can even see what it looks like here. It's kind of hard to focus. Have it. So now we want to pop off this crank pulley so we can replace the crank seal behind that as well too. Looks like that is a 19mm, and as you would have seen in my old engine disassembly video, these actually come off pretty easily. Wow, mine was definitely not that hard to pull off on the old motor. Well, of course, I should have never said anything, because now, guess what? It won't come off. A little more persistence with that jaw puller worked. So, there we have it. All right, while we're up here, might as well replace this thermostat housing. So we just need to undo these hoses. Actually, just the one hose, and then take off the 3 bolts there. That'll come right off. There's this line. Here's our mission mode of the thermostat. Looks pretty identical, but this will open it up earlier, allowing us to start running cooler earlier on. So this is a really good thing to have. So this calls for about 10.8 Newton meters, which is about 8 foot-pounds. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the rear main seal now. So I actually have this product that I used the last time I did this. It is a Permatex gasket remover. And what you do is just, when you push down this nozzle, kind of brushes it on there. So I'm gonna go around on the RTV here. And then what I'm gonna do is also just do it up here around the crank where the upper oil pan is gonna go. That way, when we come to it, it'll be ready to kind of come off easier. Okay, so now that the mating surface is clean on the actual block, what we're going to go ahead and do is apply our RTV to the back surface of this rear main seal. And you can see I have the Nissan diagram pulled up here, and it calls for about 2.3 to 3.3 mil width on these little channels here, and that's actually the outline that we're going to follow. Now there's a break in the channels on the actual mating surface of this rear main seal itself, but we are just going to actually connect it per the Nissan manual. It's just going to be one solid continuous line, but it should be pretty simple. Now I totally recommend getting one of these easier to use bottles here instead of like the little squeeze tubes. Those are so hard to use and so hard to regulate, and they get so tiring to use as well. So these things really are awesome, and just a huge benefit to have if you're doing this job. Make sure not to push this into the motor itself either. And this is actually coming off really well because we used that gasket remover earlier. Okay guys, we're gonna wrap up the first part of this video there. There's just so much putting this motor back together. As you can see, we got the oil pan on and we're kind of starting to
work towards finishing this thing. So we're gonna cut it off here. We don't want this video to be too long, but make sure and stay tuned for that second part of this episode where we finish assembling everything and get it ready to throw back in the car. So thank you guys as always for watching, and if you enjoy this kind of content, let us know. Maybe leave a comment down below if we can change anything, or tell us what you'd like. Make sure to give a like to this as well and subscribe if you enjoyed. All right, and we'll see you next time.